Hi guys, welcome to this quick comparison between the Wolfang GA420 and the GoPro Hero 10 Black Action cameras. So it's more or less the top end of the Wolfang versus the top end of the GoPro. Of course, GoPro has now the Hero 11, but it doesn't really matter because the difference between the last couple of GoPros has not been really a lot. I mean, they started with the GoPro Hero 5 Black with the new housing, and there hasn't been much improvement. Of course, with this 7 there came the hyper smooth stabilization, that was something, and with the, I think with the 10 they increased the size of the camera for actually no reason. And so here we are, and so I'm going to show you some footage side by side. Normal 1080p 60 frames, and I'm also going to show you the different field of views, which is also one of the biggest differences. So let's start with the advantages of the GoPro Hero 10 Black or Black 10 or whatsoever. I would say the biggest advantage of the GoPro is the field of view. It's even about 99 degrees with the highest stabilization, and with the Wolfang it's clearly below 90 degrees, maybe 80 degrees or so. That's not extreme when we just look at the numbers, but when we see it in real life it is definitely a huge difference. So especially when you're like in a corner with the GoPro, you see the whole area from left to right when you're in a 90 degrees corner, and with the Wolfang you can't see the whole thing. You have to move a little bit left and right, and that's quite some disadvantage. By the way, without the stabilization the GoPro has around 128 degrees compared to around 90 degrees then with the Wolfang. Then the microphone without additional housing, like the built-in microphone with the GoPro, has much higher sensitivity. The quality is, I would say, on a similar level, but the sensitivity is much better with the GoPro. With the Wolfang you have always to boost the microphone, and with some video editors it might be limited and then it's not enough. Let's say with the Capwing video editor I'm using, it's basically not enough. I couldn't use the normal microphone, built-in microphone of the Wolfang to do video shooting. Then it has USB-C compared to micro USB. USB-C is faster, has more charge, is more reliable, easier to connect. With micro USB I'm always a little bit struggling, especially with data transfer. Then it's totally flat. If you don't want to use like any GoPro mounts or like tripod or so, the GoPro you can just put on the ground, like on a table or so, and then it's usually safe. With the Wolfang unfortunately it's not flat underneath, so it's always wobbling around, especially when there's a little bit of wind or so. Then of course the GoPro has much more settings, much more functions, also special functions, and so there's quite a huge difference. And then of course we have better footage. I mean, the image itself is not a huge difference. I would say the colors, sharpness, everything is not a huge difference, but when it comes to stabilization then it's still a huge advantage for the GoPro. I mean, most of the time the Wolfang is also delivering quite a good stabilization, but sometimes it's struggling, and then you can see that I mean, it's good for like personal use, for family or so, but if you want to use that, let's say for YouTubing or even on a professional level, then it's not possible. The quality of the footage and stabilization is even so good on the GoPro that they have been using the GoPro to shoot a full theater movie. That's definitely not possible with the Wolfang. Then we have more accessories for the GoPro, especially with the media mode. There is nothing like that with the Wolfang. Media mode is a huge advantage, so we can use the external microphone and charge it and make a USB connection and still maintain it somehow waterproof or water resistant with the GoPro media mode. That's a huge advantage. Also regarding speed, we just have these small plastic flaps then, and we don't have to open the whole lid to access the footage or charge or these things. With the Wolfang there's no wireless charge, and sometimes it can be very difficult to connect it to the computer, so we always have to open the flaps, and I heard that it's not the best quality. So I've heard from people who already broke these flaps after a short time. But of course also the Wolfang GA420 has some advantages. It's not a bad camera. One of the biggest advantages is of course the size and the weight, especially the size. Now with the GoPro, after they have increased the size, the Wolfang is quite a bit smaller. This can be quite some advantage, and of course less weight. I don't have the grams, but you can definitely feel it just by holding them side by side. You can see there's a huge difference between weight and size. Then a little bit of a disadvantage for the Wolfang regarding the GoPro mounts, because it can be a little bit difficult to use it without the additional housing. I think there is no connection. Maybe you can buy something like a tripod to GoPro mount. Probably this is available, but there's no GoPro mount which you can really directly attached to the Wolfang GA420 without the housing. With the new GoPro we know that's already built in the housing. It has already the GoPro mount, not like the old GoPros. It's a new one. It has already a solid metal GoPro mount built in. But of course also the tripod mount can be an advantage for the Wolfang. I see this really as some kind of a advantage, because especially when you're not using it just like outside in snow and dirt and rain, just more like for YouTubing, then usually you're using more like tripods. And so the Wolfang, which has a direct tripod socket, has quite some advantages compared to the GoPro, which doesn't have that. And of course we are talking about two cameras which have a totally different price point. I guess the latest GoPro, when you're lucky, you can get it for maybe $350, $400 or so. The Wolfang comes at a much lower price tag for around $140, $150. So it's a little bit crazy to compare them, but I still wanted to show you that, because sometimes when you see GoPro footage online, it sometimes looks that there's not so much of an advantage. But I can tell you, if you have quite some expectations, then you are way better off with the GoPro. But if you have a limited budget, let's say $150 or so, then I think the Wolfang is probably the best option which you have also for video logging, because it has this really nice external microphone. Not all the Wolfang have this external microphone, but the GA420 has it, and I would say it's on a really good quality. And I mean, I've already tested a lot of action cameras from very low price to high price. I mean, the GoPro is the highest price camera which I've ever tested. Of course there are even higher priced action cameras, but I would say for up to $150 the Wolfang is probably the best option at the moment on the market. It's a really solid implementation. I really love this housing and also the new front screen, even though when it's activated the screen in the back will be deactivated. That's not the case with the GoPro. With the GoPro you have always both screens on. With the Wolfang you have to decide which one you want to use, but I mean you cannot watch both of the screens anyway, but you have to switch them manually and you can't switch the screens during the recording. But I would say both of the cameras have their advantages. It's just about the expectation and price, and so if you are interested in one of them, I'll put both of the links down into the description so you can check them out and order the one you like more or which fits more for you. And so I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with this video. If you have any questions or comments, just write to the comment section below. I'm always happy to talk about these things, and if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.